so I can't talk about that one in particular, but it's a really important and challenging issue, obviously. And there are always equities on both sides. And we need to make sure that we go about it in a serious and non-political way to make sure we're making a responsible decision about ensuring that there's appropriate competition in the market.
And the issue that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is referencing refers to the long-anticipated merger of AT&T and Time Warner Cable. AT&T is angling for a proposed $90 billion purchase of the media company. However, AT&T faces the federal opposition as the Department of Justice is recommending that they sell some of their more famous acquisitions, including CNN and DirecTV. Additionally, President Trump promised to stop the deal on the campaign trail, although he has not yet addressed the issue as president. Reuters reported yesterday that Trump's accusations of fake news against CNN may actually hurt the Justice Department's case against AT&T. Here with me to discuss the merger are Talking Points analysts Jack Watson and Gilat Melamed. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So let's jump right into it. Gilat, lay out the terms of this deal for us.
Yeah, so AT&T has wanted to acquire Time Warner for quite a while now, and it looked like it was going to pass by the end of the year until the Justice Department came out and said, you know, if you want this deal to go through, you either have to sell DirecTV or you have to sell Turner Broadcasting, which has channels like TBS, TNT, and of course CNN, which has become the hotly contested part of this decision.
And so why would Time Warner want to do this? Why does AT&T want to do this? What are kind of the motives behind bringing in a media company as big as Time Warner? Jack?
Well, Josh, it's really all about consolidation and profit. I mean, it's 2017. It's a brand new era of media communications. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime are all taking significant portions of the market. And HBO is also a property of Time Warner. So if AT&T were to acquire a streaming service like that, I mean, it would be huge for them. It would mean billions of dollars.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of vertical integration, which is why we see the federal government so concerned with it. Justice Department has brought out the concepts of antitrust laws and the fact that this would just be so big of an accusation or an acquisition that it could potentially, hurt the industry by and large. So why kind of is the federal government opposing this measure?
Yeah, they're opposing it because they're saying it makes the industry less competitive. Let's say AT&T did get Time Warner, then where does that leave other people who don't have AT&T when it comes to Time Warner channels like HBO, CNN? Are they not going to be able to access this? Are they going to have to pay higher fees to access this? And it's something that you saw when Comcast acquired NBC Universal, and what they did there, they had this same concern, but they laid out provisions saying you can't do this with NBC Universal content, you can't do that, so this didn't happen.
Right, and in other forms of acquisitions that AT&T has tried to make in acquiring T-Mobile, it's been shot down by the FCC and Justice Department because it's just been too much in too little of a space.
Right, and I think that's where you draw the line. I think the difference between AT&T acquiring T-Mobile is that they're essentially providing the exact same service, so you have horizontal integration as opposed to here they'd be providing different services.
Exactly. And Jack, is that reason to be concerned for not only the federal government but the executive and power of the federal government in Trump's administration?
Well, I'd certainly say so. This is one of the first very big mergers, one of the biggest business deals to happen under the Trump administration. And what happens here could set a major precedent moving forward in terms of the consolidation of multiple media companies. So obviously billions and billions of dollars are at stake, and the Department of Justice and the FCC need to act cautiously in terms of the way that they behave toward these big companies.
Yeah, and going off that precedent, so let's say this does go through, then you have Verizon, AT&T's biggest competitor right now. Where does that leave them? They need to step up their game to now compete with AT&T. So if they decide they want to acquire something, the precedent has already been set by the Justice Department when that Verizon decision would come to them.
So we're talking about new precedents for a new president. But on the flip side of that coin, this has been a growing trend. And we've seen this consolidation and integration in many respects where they're marrying the idea of a content producer to a content distributor. It goes back to the 1950s with movie distributors all being in one sort of shop. The production, the funding, and the ultimate distribution. So is that the transition that we're going to see in the telecommunications industry?
Yeah, I think it certainly is, and it's really all about trying to one-up the competition. Before this deal came to the table, AT&T actually did something to try to compete with T-Mobile by making a deal with Taylor Swift where they could release exclusive Taylor Swift things to their customers that T-Mobile customers couldn't access. So I think that was kind of the beginning of this because they had Taylor Swift's content as opposed to all of Time Warner's content, and they were trying to do the exact same thing.
Right. Jack, how does that ultimately shape this industry moving forward? I would imagine that the Justice Department is going to have to deal with cases that look a lot like this.
Oh, I would certainly say so. As you were saying, Gilat, the vertical integration of these mass media conglomerates is really going to be the way of the future because, I mean, they're just way too profitable not to be, you know? I mean, when a big company like AT&T or Verizon acquires their distribution companies, but if they acquire content producing companies, they have control over what people see, how they see it, and how much they pay to see it. So, I mean, not only in terms of money, not only in terms of finances, but in terms of distribution itself, how people see content. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
And Gilat, that distribution threatens that landscape by and large, right?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does, and I think, going back to the Justice's Department, that's why they're trying to make it a smaller impact by telling them to sell these companies. But what they can do, you know, is put in those provisions potentially saying that, you know, you can't release exclusive HBO content to customers of, you know, AT&T only.
They've tried to set those terms, though. When we go back to the T-Mobile decision, they ultimately didn't decide on that because it was, you know, an antitrust law and it would have been too, you know, gigantic for it to be handled. But now we see that horizontal integration where AT&T still has the opportunity to hurt its other competitors, namely Verizon. So is this also a ploy to, you know, create more dominance within the industry that they are, you know, looking to attain?
I would certainly say so. I mean, it's an $85.4 billion deal. I mean, it's a lot of not only money involved, but a lot of actual intellectual property involved. So, you know, the channels that Time Warner owns, CNN, HBO, TNT, TBS, that's a lot of content. A lot of stuff airs on those channels. So, I mean, you think of something in terms of Netflix, the shows that they acquire, and even Hulu and Amazon Prime.
And it's interesting because let's say, you know, we're talking about where does Verizon stand on this if AT&T does this? What about the other channels like, you know, Showtime or Fox News that are the competitors of the channels that will be acquired? So then what happens on their end? Are they going to want to become a part of a bigger conglomerate? Is that going to be beneficial to them to compete with HBO and CNN, who are their direct competitors as, you know, content creators?
Right, and I think the biggest question that people are asking when you look at that idea is the fact that if these companies are so big, and ultimately if these companies are merged, does that threaten the concept of free speech? Whereas it creates the issue that you can't necessarily critique your own parent company regardless of what they're doing because they would have, you know, the ability to kind of have editorial rights on that. So is that the underlying concern here? Jack?
Josh, there are a lot of concerns with the First Amendment here. CNN, which is one of the most talked about properties in this deal, has been heavily criticized by the Commander-in-Chief, and the fact that if the Justice Department, if a part of the executive branch, which the President of the United States presides over, can use its power to make certain business deals happen. It's not, I mean, it sets an incredibly dangerous precedent in terms of free speech.
And I think that's kind of what's unique about this is if President Donald Trump, you know, on the campaign trail and right now wasn't so vocal about his dislike towards CNN, I think maybe we'd be looking at this in a different light because, you know, this is kind of what's happening all across the industry, even with other news outlets. You know, Sinclair Company acquired more news outlets recently, so I think it's the fact that in terms of the free speech argument, President Donald Trump is so, you know, expresses his dislike so heavily towards CNN that makes us look at it with a more critical lens.
Right, and
it's really a widespread problem.
Right, I think that critical lens is definitely one of, and as it angles to the First Amendment, is definitely one of the cores of this issue, and certainly something that people are going to be focusing in on when they learn more about this. Thank you both for being here. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Josh Carney with Jack Watson and Gilat Melamed joining me. Make sure to follow Citrus TV News on Twitter and Facebook for more clips and full episodes, and check out citrustv.com for all of our content. Have a great day, Syracuse.